It is time to make the sound to summon the stream. Greetings, dear viewers. I'm Coil Quickguard, and welcome back to the Community RPG Maker Project. Week apparently 95? Who the hell knows? That's what my calculations told me. If you are new to this project, for well over a year, I have been building a game in RPG Maker MZ using as many suggestions and comments from community members as possible. If you would like to be involved in this project or contribute to it in some way, you are absolutely more than welcome to. You can come by and catch the streams every Sunday morning and chat there. You can leave comments on any of the VODs from any of the videos of this series. They all show up in the same place and I'm able to see them easily. Or you can check a link down in the description. You can join the channel Discord and talk about things there. Currently, we are busy building out the depths of the Pepsi Factory, the place that serves as the grand final, dungeon for the third act of our game. Let's take a look at today's agenda. The first thing we are going to do today is add the Eldritch Claws. I think we designed the Eldritch Claws, we just hadn't placed them. That is exactly the case. So we need to make sure that in the corpse processing room, you are able to get the Eldritch Claws. That'll be our first thing. The second thing we are going to do is finish decorating the main area of the Pepsi Factory. This section here, everything else has been thoroughly decorated as we've been going along. The third thing we are going to do, and what is going to take most of our time today, we are going to be building the chemical dump and putting a switch puzzle in it. That's this room here. And I have worked out the sequence for how the switch puzzle is actually going to work. I have tested this. It is solvable. I think it's actually solvable in only 3 moves. So once you know the order of the switches, they can definitely be adjusted, and there will also be just a master reset for it. And after that, assuming that we have time, we are going to be building the swamp water infusion interior. So that's the building right next to this one. Hold on, I do have cursor monitoring on, right? Yes, I do. Okay, good. that is important for these streams. And I've already got the layout for the Swamp Water Infusion maze puzzle figured out here. So I do know what I am doing there, which is good. And yeah, that's basically what I have planned to do today. We will see how time allows. I am sorry that the last stream was so short. Just really was not feeling it then. You know, I've got my energies today, my issues today, but fatigue is not one of them. And I am planning to go for around 2.5 hours today. So, with all of that said, let's get working on our agenda. Good morning, Coles. I have a team for Spear Pillar number 7. I don't know why there's a number 7. Always, always, always with the Pokemon. Let's see. Are you a Mimic? I think you're a Mimic. You are a Mimic. The 7th Spear Pillar Tourney. I don't know what a Spear Pillar Tourney is. Alright, we're going to take this. And just for the sake of thoroughness, we're going to put another chest here in the bottle cap production room. It's the name of the tourney. And on to corpse processing. We're going to put the chest here, and this is where you find the Eldritch Claws. Here we go. You found Eldritch Claws. Perfect. Okay. That is done. I did set up the Eldritch Claws properly, right? Yes, I did. Perfect. Okay. Alright, next item on the agenda. We want to decorate this external portion of the factory. This is the last area of the factory that needs to be decorated. I think one of the first things that I would like to do is actually put some more height here. Oh, that's why the cursor is so small. It was on shadow mode. Okay. So we're actually going to make this area a little bit taller, just to layer it a little. And let's see. Little vents up here are good decoration. We don't need to really worry too much about decorating these upper portions, since they're basically never going to be seen anyway. We'll run a little, like, backup conveyor here. I think that's a good design. How does this work? That's a little much. That's not quite right either. There we go. Some little tanks hanging around there. What else? What else? What else? Pillars are always good. I think it's supposed to be like a window looking out over a cityscape. That's kind of interesting. That's an interesting piece. Don't really know what it's supposed to be, but I mean, it's definitely something. What else? What else? What else? What else? Put those there. Put workman uniform here. Let's do our usual floor scuffing. There we go. Factory's not exactly a clean place. Okay. We'll have a few cracks in the floor leading over this way. And then, as far as floor decorations go, let's see. This room can look like it's kind of been roughed up a little bit. I think that's an important thing for the aesthetic. We can have a bunch of displays here. And what else? A few more tanks. Doesn't hurt. And a few crates. There we go. Put those there. A couple barrels. It's not quite as busy as some of the other sections, but I think that makes sense. I think it still looks decent. So we will consider that task complete to decorate the final area. I am going to have to turn on this air conditioning here. It will come through on the mic probably a little bit, but otherwise it's like 80 degrees where I'm sitting. And the cooler it is, the more clearly I can think. I have both coffee and tea ready here this morning. The tea because, well, I just like drinking tea for the flavor, and the coffee because I actually require its utilitarian value today. Alright, it's time for the big one. Today's primary task. We're going to build the chemical dump and the switch puzzle inside of it. This is going to be pretty involved, and there's going to be a lot of event work. Well, not a lot, but there's going to be a fair amount of event work that is going to go into this. So, let's take one of our buildings to use as a starting point. Good. One of the ones with enemy encounters. Paste it. And this is the chemical dump. We are definitely going to need it bigger than this. Let's make it 30. Let's just make it 30 by 30. That's fine. Okay. Next task, clear the existing map. I basically just start with the copy-paste because then I don't have to manually re-put in all the encounters and music stuff. Okay. Get rid of, get rid of, get rid of, get rid of, get rid of. Hello there, Rainbow Gaming. Welcome to the stream. Alright. So it's going to have a door in the center. And then I have a specific thing in mind for how I want the conveyors set up. So there we go. Here is the entrance. So what I need is we have a conveyor line that goes in. And then it has conveyor lines that split off. Just like that. And okay. Yeah, just like that. And then we have the boundary lines of the conveyors. Just like that. Okay. So, how do I... How do I actually make this work here? I guess like that. Okay. With a gap in the middle. Okay. Then we go here, here, and here. And this. I think that works. I have to go with a pretty specific kind of design here, because I'm going to want the players to be able to get like a visual on this whole section. Okay. I have to have very synchronized movements. To get past all of this. Okay. All right. And then we have one more section here. And this one actually leaves out of the room altogether. Okay. Yes. That works, I believe. Okay. So we're going to put the first wall here. We are going to put the second wall here. Okay. And then the third wall goes here. Blacken it all up. Oh, we've got extra room up here. Okay. Let's go an extra 2 spaces. Concrete floors. Just like this. Okay. Okay. Good. 2 more rows of concrete floor there. Okay. And up like this. And like that. Okay. So this whole section needs to be moved over. There we go. There we go. That actually leaves some room for walking in between the lines. Okay, okay. I think this is a good starting point. So the one thing that I need is I need a walkway here. The end goal is to get the player onto the conveyor belt. Okay. Okay, I think that works. We're going to have a little bit more concrete here. I think 3 spaces is enough. And then we just need the adjusted walls over the top. Okay. And now we go up a layer. Because we need... There we go. Now let's do all of the ups. Just like that. Up, 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 up. Okay. Now we'll go up a layer for the lefts and rights. There we go. Do. And one here, one here, one here, one here. One here, one there, one there, one there, here. Okay, we have to go up another layer to get these. Is there anywhere I missed? Yes. Here and here. Okay. And now I have to add any corners that we missed. There's a corner. There's a corner. Maybe an enemy there. I think it's a good idea to have like a thing here that you have to fight to get onto the conveyor. I think that's a really good idea. Oh, nope, didn't want to do that. Alright. Let's zoom in and examine. This is the part that's always really hard to get right. That's fully encircled. That's fully encircled. That's fully encircled. Yes, they are completely finished. Okay. So that works. Now what I'm going to need is a sequence of switches here. I am just going to place some to serve as a basic placeholder for a moment. I like these levers. Okay. So these are not the final switches. These are just placeholders that I will have while I kind of decorate the area a little bit. Okay. And then we will have a big red button that activates the line. And we will have another switch that will act as the reset. So I think this having a green reset switch, 5 of these. No, I really think I need more room. Come on. There we go. Like, I want this to feel like a little control center. And that means that I'm going to have to decorate it. There we go. Alright. Now, decorating it properly. Means I'm going to need... I'm going to need to do this carefully. What if you add an NPC that sells drugs? That's actually super easy to integrate. Totally doable. There's also community isling, which I have a feeling you should get into. Yes, when we are done building Act 3, we can start worrying about catching up on a bunch of other things. NPC that sells drugs, though. Who should this be? Which community member do we want this to be? Because that's very easy to do. We just set up someone with shot processing. And we just have them sell cocaine. But they're an unreasonable merchant, so they're going to sell it with a markup. Also, they are purchase only. Name them Mr. Friendly. No. Everything in Contributor Town is going to be named exclusively for people who have contributed ideas to the project. Do I have one for you yet? I don't think I do. Most contributors... Does that mean I'm there? If you want to be the cocaine seller, you can. Otherwise, I can just pull names of other people who have contributed. If you don't want to be represented in that way. Okay. We can do that. Do you have a preference for what you want your character to look like? I'm not going to spend, like, a great deal of time doing custom forms, but if you have, like, a general concept, I can probably pick one that's going to be close to that. And also, do you want me to just call them the Rainbow Gaming, or do you have a different name or screen name that you would prefer that I use? You just give me that information, and you'll be in Contributor Town selling cocaine. And there's the rest of my coffee done. One with a trench coat named Sir Rainy. Okay. One with a trench coat named Sir Rainy. I can probably find something that will fit that well. Okay, here we go. So that's SF Actor 3 named Sir Rainy. And looking... Psst, hey man, looking for a hookup. Then we offer choices. Yes, no, if yes. And if you say no, well, you know where to find me. Okay. We're actually going to adjust the price all the way up to 1,000. Since cocaine is actually, like, a useful item. And we can start with a line like... You're not a cop, right? You have to tell me if you're a cop. So we'll take away the pist and we'll be like, hey man, looking for a hookup. Yes, no. If yes, cocaine. If no, well, you know where to find them. Okay, there you go. You are integrated. Welcome to Contributor Town. And we will mark you off as finished. That's the Joel encounter. That's Cole's. That's Noob. And that's Aubrey. There we go. Make sure that I mark people off as they are added to Contributor Town. Contributors added marked by asterisks. There we go. Important to make good documentation. Welcome to the project, Rainbow. I am glad that we are able to include you in a way that you find satisfying and fun. Okay, back to the chemical dump. So this is like a a command room. So we're gonna put this here, this there, this there. All right. And then the rest of them are kind of built more just like server racks. We have a few command stations there. We have a few stations full of like switches and stuff. We have a few fun-looking office chairs. We have some fans running up here. Some like monitors on the wall or something would be good. Now, honestly, I think that's good enough. Now let's scuff up the floors a little bit. Primordial soda. Come on. We'll just do this, do that. We'll have like a green spot here. And another green spill here. I swear I can never find that spilled barrel when I'm looking for it. There it is. What if you make a single Coca-Cola can there that gives you, Yeah, Coke is the stuff that's made all, like, the big act bosses evil. That's sort of the lore we're going with so far. Okay. We have some big cans. I think that works. We'll place a few of these. Some like spare drainage holes. I think that works. A few vents in the floor. Some oil cans or whatever the hell else might be in them. One of the mobile conveyors here. And another mobile conveyor there. I think that looks good. I think that looks really good. Okay. So I did basically build the chemical dump. Now the part that's actually going to get pretty technical. We need to build the switch puzzle. So, we have these 5 switches, labeled A through E. A is going to start in the off position, D is going to start in the off position, the other 3 will start in the on position. The goal is to get all 5 of them into the off position, and then to hit the big red button. This will cause, like, an accident on the line, and then it will open up the access here and tell the player, oh, we need a maintenance worker to go on the conveyor and fix it. And that is the only way that the player is able to get into this next room. Because the outer door is going to be locked from the inside. So we need to complete the puzzle in order to activate the production offline. So every one of the switches toggles 2 or more switches. Switch A toggles A, B, and D. Switch B toggles B, C, and E. Switch C toggles C and D, switch D toggles D and E, and switch E toggles E and A. Okay. Complete puzzle and turn on switch production off. And then the green set switch will just reset it to its starting position. Okay. Alright. So, the first thing we need to do is we need to have resets. Well, first what we need is we need a way to access the room. So, in corpse processing, previously you received the chemical dump key card. So we're going to have a locked door. If you have the chemical dump key card, it will let you in. And if you don't, it will say the door is locked. There is a sign on... the door is labeled chemical dump. Okay, so you need the key card in order to access the room. When you have the key card, it will let you into the chemical dump. Okay, good. So now we have a means to access the room. Now we need a means to exit the room. which takes you out of the Pepsi Factory down here. This is going to be important. This is also going to change a variable 125, and this is going to be Pepsi switch value. Is going to set it to 2. Okay. That's important. Actually, I guess it makes more sense to do that when you enter the room, honestly. We set the switch value to 2. It doesn't hurt if we have it on either side. But it also needs to reset the switches when you leave the room. So we need switch A, switch B, switch C, switch D, and switch E. So this is going to reset 290 to 294. So 290 to 294. No, actually it doesn't work. We need to actually reset them manually because switches B, C, and E are all going to start in the on position. So switch A off. Switch B on. Switch C on. Switch D off. And switch E on. I think that's right. A, B, C, D, E, off, on, off, on. A, B, C, D, E, off, on, off, on. Okay. So that is how we make sure that the puzzle will properly reset if the players leave the room. Also, the switch value should be starting at 3, not 2. We're going to copy all of this. Because the reset switch needs to follow the same instructions. Okay. Same as character active button. This is the reset switch. Cool. Copy all of this, because this is how you leave the room. Which lets you go here, facing left. But it does not reset everything. If the production's off, it has to not reset. Okay, I didn't think about that. That's important. So if production is off, you don't reset anything. And Pepsi Factory paste. If production is off, you don't reset anything. And if production is off, you also need to not do that. Controls are disabled until the production line is repaired. Yes. For your safety, Controls are disabled until the production line... Until the production line is repaired. And error... error... Production compromised... Okay, perfect. So when you hit this switch, it'll play a sound effect. Let's find, like, a switch button. That's a good sound effect, I think. Okay. So it'll play that sound. And then this needs to look, I think, left, right, up. Is that right? Left, right, up? Yes, okay. So movement route, this event, wait, 3 frames, rate turn, wait 3 frames, turn up, wait 5 frames, wait for the completion. It switches all of that. And then this event turns back down again. I think there should be a hidden code puzzle as well. What are you thinking? Can you expand on that? Are you saying there should be a secret solution to this puzzle? Or that there should be, like, a different puzzle that's hidden? Okay. The reset switch should now be functional. Now let's actually start working on the switches. So we are going to work on switch A. Like another puzzle that is like a door and you need to enter a code. We could definitely add, like, a hidden room in the Pepsi Factory with a hidden code. That's a really good idea. Hold on. Let me make a note for that. Next stream... Add a final room to the Pepsi Factory... You need a hidden or secret code to enter. What are you thinking? Maybe just like a storage room with good treasures? That's my first thought. Okay, so switch A, starting in this position, it's going to need a direction fix, since it's technically facing up. Okay. So, when you interact with it, it will play that sound. And first it will turn... Okay, it's facing down, so first it needs to turn right. Then it needs to turn left. Wait 3 frames. And then it's turning down. No, the first thing it needs to do is turn direction fix off. It needs to do this movement. It needs to turn direction fix back on when it's done. And then it's going to adjust a variable. In this case, the Pepsi switch value, it's starting in an off position. So in an on position, it is adding 1. Is that accurate? Yes. Okay. Oh, hold on. Switch A off. Okay. So it also needs to turn switch A on. Paste. So then we basically do the same type of thing, except first we turn left, then we turn right, and then we turn up. We turn the direction fix on. We have the Pepsi switch value subtract 1, and we turn switch A off. So this now should be a complete toggle. And now we need to be able to not interfere with it anymore once the once the puzzle is actually solved. Error, production compromised. For your safety, controls are disabled until the production line is repaired, which happens if production off is on. Okay. Okay, I think that this is functional. Let's test. Alright, our first proper testing of the day. First, let's go get the key card just on our testing line. Oh, Shinny! Shinny and the crew. Hello! Welcome to the stream. I'm Coil Quickcard, and I am here building the Pepsi Factory dungeon in RPG Maker. That should not be appearing where it is. Why is that appearing where it is? Okay. So, already I have a bug fix. Yeah, I need to do... Oh, and they're gone. Yeah, it happens a lot. Fix the... Bloodstain, reset, and they're back. Alright, let's drop a debug save here. We'll just drop it onto 3. Okay. So, at this point, we need to check our switches and make sure they are all correct. Switch A off. Switch B and C are on. Switch D is off. Switch E is on. Does that correspond? Yes, it does. Okay, good. Now we need to check the variables. Pepsi switch value is at 3, which is the number of things we should have. Ooh, okay. It got trapped. Something here was bad. It seems like it got into into a loop it couldn't resolve. Why and how would it loop? Where would the loop be happening? Okay. Let's try here. Up. Right. One sec. Just got a reminder on my phone to take my antibiotics. That's important to keep up with. Alright, got that taken. Okay, so I think that resolves the loop. Okay. Nope, now that one's looping. Okay, the disable looped. Why did the disable loop? I don't understand why any of this should be looping. It's almost definitely something that's being caused by a loop error in my events. Like, one event triggering another, triggering another, triggering another without being able to halt is usually what causes this kind of thing. Okay, so the reset doesn't even work properly either. Alright. Right. That's what's going on. That's why sometimes the production lines all break. Okay. Okay. It's because of the self switches. That's what's been going on this entire time. Oh, that makes so much sense. Okay. Okay. So what I need happening is every single time someone walks off of this map, every single self switch needs to turn itself off or the production lines break. Oh, shit. And then that same problem can happen in every single one of the production lines. Oh, see, it makes sense now. It actually makes sense. Why I've been having that problem. Oh, crap. Okay. 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 Um, so there are ways to resolve that with script, which are actually not that hard to make work. But I'm going to fix that in between streams. Uh, that gets a little tedious and it's kind of annoying. Uh, in between streams, add proper self switch resetting selective to conveyor events when changing screens. In the Pepsi Factory. Okay. Game self switches. Game map dash map ID. But I am going to, just for the purposes of thoroughness, I am going to show how those resets can be done. So, for instance, I'm going to have like a thing here. Like a thing. And then when you interact with the thing, it will turn on its self switch. And when that self switch is on, it turns into a floating crystal. So, typically what happens, the way that this works, is that you interact with this thing, and then it turns on an internal switch. Not like one of the things you can pull down from your switches menu, which are more global. This is a local switch to this event. When that switch turns on, then this page becomes the priority, and it'll just look different. And that's it. That's all this event is just going to do. It's just going to provide an easy visual aid for when its self switch A is on. So what I'm going to do is have it that when you open this door, it is going to run a script. Specifically, it is going to set this here, which is a script command to alter the state of a self switch. Specifically, a self switch of a specific event ID on a specific game map ID. This is not a command that is usual. This is not a command that is accessible in the regular event commands, and by the gods, I wish it was. So this is going to be event 21 on map ID 141. So 14121. So 141 dot 021. That might be the proper address to reset it. Let's take a look. I always wondered why my conveyors kept breaking. I didn't even consider that we can easily catch them in between self-switch cycles. Alright. There we go. So now self-switch A for this event is on. Now, if that worked, it will have turned self-switch A for that event to off. It did not work. So I have no idea what the proper method for that, what the proper script code for that would look like. Hold on. I need to do a little searching. Because I really want to get this one to work. Okay. Because this is something that's right in the documentation. I just need to find it. Hold on. It's here somewhere. Okay. There we go. Okay. I see how to do it now. There we go. That should reset it. Let's test. And then I'm basically just going to copy and paste different versions of that to make sure that every transition in the factory is resetting the proper set of conveyor belt switches. So south switch A is on. Boom. Okay. So we now have the script for properly resetting. It's that simple. So I am going to make a copy of that and add it to my in-between stream notes. All right. That's been a problem for weeks, and I'm finally going to be able to fix it. All right. Now, back to the puzzle. You're activating this. Pepsi switch value 3, switch A off. When switch A off, it should be swapping to this. It's not visually swapping to that. Because the direction fix is still on, maybe. Let's see if that is accurate. I told you this part would get involved. Okay. What is going on? It's possible that the orientation is not changing. Okay. So it is switching back to switch A, to this page of the event. But this page of the event is still facing down. Okay. Turn up direction fix on. That should change the problem with the visual reset. We're going to drop our test save right here. Okay. Pepsi switch value does go up, so that did get correct. Switch A is on, which is correct. Reset, visually reset the switch. Switch A is off, like it should be. And the Pepsi switch value also reset. The reset switch is working. So the bigger problem is, why does it freeze? Why does it freeze after we disable the switch? That's what I'm not getting. So if switch A is on, plays an event, it turns the direction fix off, turns left, turns right. There it is. I used move up instead of turn up. That's all it was. That was the only thing that was stopping it. It wasn't an infinite loop like I thought. It was simply giving a command that the engine could not do, and was waiting infinitely to be able to do. Got it. Okay. We now have a working switch. We now have a working switch which toggles a thing. That is very good. So the next thing I need is to interlink switches together. So we're going to take this. We're going to put this here. This is going to be switch B. Now switch B is starting in the on position. When switch B is on. And this when switch B is off. So we need to switch this to switch B. When you turn it off, it is subtracting 1. And we need to reverse this order. So it starts by facing up. Or, yeah. So first it needs to turn left, then turn right, and then turn up. Right? Because it's here, it needs to go left, right, up. Yes. Okay. And then on this one, it needs to start by going right, left, down. And then we are adding 1 because it is toggling on, and it is turning switch B on. And this is turning switch B off. Okay. Nope. Okay, this is left, right, up. Hold on. When you do this, you're ending with down. Why is this switch breaking? Building interconnected chain events like this is always a hassle. Okay. It goes up properly. Okay. So what is actually happening here? So it's recognizing switch B as on. Okay. Switch B off. Okay, so switch B disables this, turns it off. So now it is this. What am I missing? Okay, you're starting from this position. Oh, this is going to frazzle my brain. This is likely something very simple, and I'm just, for whatever reason, not perceiving it. All right, take a big swig of my tea and let's think this through. We're going to troubleshoot step by step. As long as I have two of these working, one for true and one for false positions, I can copy paste and make it work easy. Okay, well, here is my problem. It's starting in a down. Oh. Okay, it's getting confused because I'm not actually starting this in a, okay. Gotcha. All right. Switch B needs to turn down. Reset the switches properly. There we go. Okay. That's going to take too long to test. Okay. We need dialogue. So the text is / variable in. Okay. What is the value that we're using? 125. Okay. So this will immediately tell me the values that are on. And then we are going to have some things here. Switch A is on. A equals on. Otherwise, it is going to say A equals off. B, C, D, E. We're just going to be able to see this at a glance. This way, we're not going to have to open the debug menu in order to check the variables and the switch orientations every time. You know you're getting in deep when you're building a specific system in order to make your testing more efficient. That's how you know you're into the weeds. Okay. Perfect. All right, let's go in and test. Okay, value 3, that's what it's supposed to be. A is off, that's correct. B is on, that's correct. C is on, that's correct. D is off, that's correct. E is on. Those are all correct. Alright. So if we switch that, value 4, A, on, off, on, all of that is correct. Reset it from there. Value 3, off, on, off, on. That is all correct. Hit the switch. I do not have time for that. Value 4. A is off. B is on. So there's the problem. This is supposed to be toggling off. So B is not correctly toggling off. So what has happened here? Switch B is on. It does the movement. It subtracts 1, or it's supposed to. And then it's supposed to turn switch B off. Is it also activating this when I do it? I don't know why it would, but let's test it with applause. So I should not hear that applause. Okay, that's exactly what's happening. It is running this page of events, but then it is also running this page of events. How and why is it doing that? That is not a thing it should be doing. Okay. I don't know how or why it's doing that. But we can add an exit event processing command, which should halt all of that. There shouldn't be any way that that continues to be a problem now. How? That should not be possible. Okay, B is on. Yes. What on earth? Why does it work? Why does it work for this one, but not for the other? What is happening? So, it's running all of this, but then as soon as switch B goes off, it's running all of this before it gets to the final end processing. And I can prove that by putting an extra sound effect here at the end of this. Let's test it. Okay, so that's exactly what's happening. It's running through all of this. And then as soon as switch B turns off, it considers all of this as part of the valid events to follow before it finishes processing this. So it's not hitting this exit event processing command. I do not understand how or why it is doing that. I sincerely do not. Okay. However, I can probably stop it. Okay. We are going to set a conditional branch. If the bottle cap's base is equal to 1, you don't do a goddamn thing. Otherwise, you do all of this. So bottle cap's base equal to 1. Switch B off. It tries to run this, and it halts. So then we just need it to reset the bottle cap space. Does that work? I've never run into this problem before. Okay. What if we don't reset the bottle cap's base? Okay. Bottle cap's base equal to 1. If bottle cap's base is equal to 1, you do nothing. What is going on with this event? Okay. I'm about to just delete this event and start over because I don't know where this has happened. Okay, bottle cap's base is equal to 4,443. Okay. Why? It seems to EV2 activates before EV1. True. That's a good observation. Okay, switch B is on. You know what? I think you guys actually found the exact problem. I think you found the exact problem, actually. Okay. Let's reorder the pages. There. Now the no switch event is the lower priority page. It should only activate the higher priority page, which is switch B. It may have actually been something as simple as event page priority. God damn it. Me switch, thank you very, very much. Thank you. You were absolutely correct. It was nothing more than a simple issue of switch of page priority. Oh. Thank you so much for realizing that. This is it. This is it. Okay, we got it. Me Switch, you're the hero. Thank you so goddamn much for that. Alright. So next we're going to work on switch C, which also starts in an on position. So this one is going to be set up exactly the same as switch B. The only difference for this one is which switch gets toggled. There we go. That's easy. And then the final on switch is E, so we'll go ahead and get the E switch working as well. And then we'll just copy that A switch for D. I cannot believe I fell prey to an issue of event page priority. I should have known better. It's a very, very simple thing. Oh well, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. If I beat myself up over, like, every small mistake that I made while working on this project, I'd be miserable. Okay. Let's reset them all to their starting. Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't change the condition section for these switches. Easy fix. There we go. Now every switch should work independently. So the starting value is 3. Off, on, off, on. That correlates perfectly to what we are seeing. So the value should now be 2. Value 2, on, off, off, on, off. Yes, this should be value 5. And this should be value 0. Which it is. And we reset from there. That works fine. Perfect. Okay. All of that works. And now we make it so that every switch toggles more than one thing simultaneously. Okay. So A toggles B. Okay. So I could do this through checking a conditional branch, and then depending on the state of switch B, activating either this sequence of commands or this sequence of commands. I am curious if there is a simple script command I could use, which would activate an event as though a player had done an action button trigger, which would let me just have one script command, and that would be it. That would make this so much easier. Let me check my documentation here. There's probably a way to do this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This might work. But we're also probably going to want to take this exit processing off of every single page. Otherwise, we are going to queue up an unfortunate sequence of processing breaks before we actually run the switches. Okay. So this should work. I already see a problem with this. I already see a problem with this. Okay. Okay. So the problem is that if I do it this way, it will be infinite. Meaning that switch A would start running switch B, but then switch B would have a thing that tells it to start running switch C, and then switch C would have a thing telling it to run switch D, and it generates an infinite loop of levers toggling themselves. Which admittedly would be very funny and probably kind of fun to look at. But I need a halting solution. So you also toggle D, and switch D is event 4. Okay. Okay, I had said maybe we should try script calls for it to be easier. It is legitimately actually going to be easier to do manual commands. Okay. So we are going, because this way I can guarantee that they halt, because it's not actually trying to run the other event pages. So if switch B is on, then run this sequence. If switch B is off, run this sequence. This way we can avoid any infinite loops. Okay. And then we also tie this to switch D. So if switch D is on... Right. We also have to change this so that it doesn't refer to this event. Switch A, switch B, switch B, switch B. Switch B. You switch D is on. Adjust switch D. And then switch D. And then switch D. And switch D. Okay. That is good. So then let's copy the switch B and switch D conditions onto the other page of events. Since we're going to be doing a good amount of copy pasting, we are just going to proof all of these. I shouldn't have been using the this event stuff for the targeted movement. I should have been very specific from the start, since this was always going to end up being a copy paste thing. There we go. Switch D, switch D. No, you need to be switch C and switch C. You are B and B. You are A and A. You need to be E and E. Okay. So switch 1 should now toggle B and D. Okay, value should be 2. A is on, B is off, C is off, D is off, E is on. And we can still reset without any issues. Yes! Oh, it's working. It's actually working. Okay. So next one, switch B is also able to toggle C and E. Okay. So we're going to copy this. Switch B toggles C and E. C. Yeah, C and E. Okay. So we'll get rid of all of those. This is if switch C is on. Otherwise, you run switch C off. Perfect. And now we do this again for switch E. Okay. And get rid of those. Switch E on. And switch E off. Just like that. Okay. Right. I didn't actually copy the switch stuff to the other page of switch B. There we go. Now switch B should toggle C and E every time. I do not care about fighting the Pepsi Ghost. Thank you. Okay. Okay. There we go. I knew there was a mistake somewhere in Switch A's issues. I was able to perceive that Switch A was resetting itself. But luckily, that is now fixed. And this one should not be having any issues with that because I didn't copy-paste the flawed part. Okay, we did it. Next thing I want to do, this is actually kind of important. I want to make sure enemies only appear in certain parts of this map. I don't want the players being attacked as they are trying to solve this problem. I just hit cancel. God damn it. So we are going to say that enemies only appear in region 1. Okay. And then what we do is we set it so that everything except that area is region 1. So now no enemies will spawn in this area. Because I genuinely think that would be kind of, like, just dickish and annoying to have players being accosted by enemies while trying to figure out this puzzle. I think that would be absolute bullshit. As a player, I would hate that. I would despise it. So, we just have 3 more switches to finalize. Switch C does switch D. But at this point, we have commands for switches B, C, D, and E. So we can just copy paste these. Boom, and boom. Switch D is done. Or switch C is done. Now switch D does D and E. So we will just copy the E switch from here. And we put that here on switch D, so now you reset switch E. And we actually do need to do this manually because we don't have anything that resets A yet. Okay, that's fine. Boop, 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 boop. If switch A is on, yes. Is there anybody that's actually watching and paying close attention right now? Because I need to test this puzzle. I need to test the puzzle solutions. And it would probably be a better idea to have someone else give the commands than for just me to flail at the switches, since I'm already familiar with the shape of the puzzle. Alright, let's check this. Perfect. Perfect. I swear I saw something weird happen on that one. Oh, this is annoying as hell. Okay, I got them all on. Boom. All off. Okay, so this puzzle has at least one viable solution. So, if you know how the puzzle works, you can do it in 3 buttons. That's it. We have a functional switch puzzle with a provable solution. At least one provable solution. Likely multiple solutions. Let's just kind of screw this all up and try to solve it from here. Boom. Alright. We have a functional switch puzzle. Next thing I need to test. Does it properly reset? Perfect. And walk out this door. And check. The puzzle properly resets it anytime you leave the room. There's also a reset switch. That is exactly what I wanted this to do. We have now set up all of the problems. We have a switch puzzle and a solution. The next part is where it's going to get a little tricky. We're going to have barrel 1, barrel 2, and barrel 3. Okay. And these are all going to move at normal speed. Direction fix through normal speed. Okay. So, when you press this red button, it will send 3 barrels down the conveyor belt. Depending on the value, the number value between 0 and 5, the barrels will move in different directions. It's not really a big... it's not really important how they move, but it's going to give the appearance of the switches actually being tied to something. If the value is 0, the barrels will get stuck and explode, and it will say, oh, the conveyor's off, and it'll turn off the production. So I guess we want to copy one of these. Okay. So you press the button. We copy this event page. On this event page, when production is off, the button is just stuck in. And we paste that. Okay. So the button gets pressed. We have switches. Can we have, like, a machine? Okay. So you press the button. Then it plays the machine sound. Perfect. Okay. Alright, so it plays a machine sound. At the same point, we want to scroll the map down. Okay, so the player's going to be standing here. I want it to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so scrolling down by 12. We wait for the completion. We pitch down. Let's see how that works. That's a little bit more scrolling than we needed. Let's have it go by 8. Let's have it go by 10, and this doesn't need to be switch A. This needs to be event 6. This is the activation button. And I want to use the heavier switch sound. So the scroll down of 10 should put it right in the center. Okay. Make the machine a little louder. Decrease the scroll by a distance of 1. Perfect. And now we are going to have a series of conditional branches based on variable observations. So if the Pepsi switch value is equal to 0, that's going to be its own whole thing. But if the value is equal to 1, then we are going to have barrel 1 move down, change its image to... Right. When you're in the event, it can't change it to a tile set. Damn it. What is going to work? So this is water that's moving into the production line. Okay. So I need to put that barrel onto a sprite sheet. Okay. Well, I can do that. I just need to open up my GIMP here. All right, come on, GIMP. Nope, we don't need any of that. In fact, we can close those, discard. All right, we're going to need our skit world files. Image, characters. We're going to take customs, and then we're going to take the tile sets. Which sci-fi section is it that has what I'm looking for? The barrels. The barrels. The barrels are on Sci-Fi E. Got it. Okay. Sci-Fi E. I think that's the one. Let's see here. Nope, that's not the one. We need sci-fi outside. Sci-fi outside be this the one? Yes, yes it is. Okay, good. So we delete everything else on here that is not what we need. Turn on the customs. Move the outside here. Delete any extra ones that came with this. And go down to here. Let's zoom in super far and get very precise. Okay. Go down by 1 pixel. Perfect. Move this up. And that should be it. Replace customs 01. Perfect. Now we can finish making our first bit of thing here. Okay. So barrel 1 image, you're going to be using customs 1. You're going to be using this barrel. Right. You're going to be using the static. Okay. I almost got this. I almost got this. Characters. Customs. Back into GIMP. Right. Here we go. We delete that. And then we grab this. We copy it, paste it as an additional layer. Move it there. Okay. Yes, I think that works. It doesn't matter too much since I don't need to worry a great deal about precision. There we go. Okay, we have it on barrels. First thing we do is turn off stepping animations. We have it move down. Then we have it appear. And then from this position, we have it go 1. We have it go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Move up, transparent, done. Okay. Okay, this should have a value of 1. So let's see this work. Uh-huh. Okay. There we go. We turn off the walking animation. Not the stepping, we just don't have... Yeah, it was walking animation I needed off. Yeah, you're completely right, me Switch. I forgot that walking was the one that I needed. Luckily, that one is a very, very clear example of where I went wrong. Now, how do I get this to a 1 again? There we go. Okay, that's a value of 1. We're going to drop our next debug save here. Okay. That time, it did not even properly appear. Okay. It may not have properly switched because the walking was already off. Okay, nope, that definitely was not it. Set the walking animation off here. Is that it? No, because at this point, it's just not even appearing. Okay. What is breaking now? Okay. Turn down and direction fix. It should already be direction fixed. But let's try... Direction fix off, turn down, direction fix on. It doesn't need to be a pretty sequence, it just needs to be a functional one. Maybe this'll work. No. Okay. Let's try moving these commands until after we change the image. Still not appearing. Okay. There's something simple here I'm not seeing. Okay. Okay. You know what? That's how you want to play this, huh? Very well, then. Back into GIMP. Okay. All right. Let's make sure that we place this in the exact right spot every time. So it's 2 pixels over to the side. Two pixels over to the side. And 2 pixels over to the side. Got it. And now, just to be extra thorough about this, whoops. Okay, first things first, let's merge the layers down. Here we go. Kind of forgot about the stream. It happens. Okay, delete that. Okay. So we copy, paste, paste again. There. And then paste again. I don't know where I am running into the problem, but I am ending the problem. There. Now we just hide all of those. There we go. Get rid of all that. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. Merge, 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 merge. Yep. No idea how or why I am running into this problem. Okay. Okay. Pace. Paste again. Now, we move it down. We put that on the customs. Okay. Now, we are not going to worry about anything else. We are just oh my god, I've had it working the entire time. I've had it working the entire time. The problem was the priority. The priority wasn't set. It was set as an image that was appearing below the tiling. That's what was going on. All of that was unnecessary. But now that it is all running an identical set of custom sprites, it shouldn't even be an issue anymore. There, that's simple. Okay. And no, it will not wait for completion. At the same time, it will run barrel 2, which will move down twice before it appears. And its movement from here will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, 3, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And again, we are not waiting for completion. And then finally, barrel 3, which is going to be the same sequence but up. Moving from this position. Yeah. This one, on the 3rd, we will wait for the completion. And we're going to set that for barrel 3. So, if the variable representing the value of all this is 1, we should see one barrel go center, the second barrel go bottom, and the third barrel go top. And then it is, after that, going to scroll the map back up by the 9 units that it moved originally. And before it makes that movement, it will reset the position of the button to be facing down. Turn down. Okay. Then we scroll back up. We wait. We can wait a good 15 frames before the machine sound starts. Okay. Let's see it. It did it! It did it! It did it! Yes! Yes! Oh, that's perfect! Oh, that is absolutely perfect. And we'll wait like half a second. No, we'll wait a full second before it scrolls back up. And then I just need to create barrel guises for switch values 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that'll be it for today. And then on next stream, we will actually do the value 0 where it fails the system. Yep, it scrolls back up. The switch did not reset because it turned on the direction fix. Turn off the direction fix. Okay. Perfect. All right. So now let's go ahead and add the Pepsi value 2. So if the Pepsi switch value is 2, then switch 1 is going to behave like barrel 2. Just with 1 less move down. And then barrel 3. Barrel 2 is going to follow barrel 3. Just with 1 less move down. Okay. So we should have a different working performance for value 1 and value 2. Let's test it and make sure. This is value 1. The button reset. Make sure that it works multiple times before we go changing the value. It does not because I forgot to add location reset. Okay. Major importance. Okay. Set event location barrel 1 to barrel 1. Set event location barrel 2 to barrel 2. Set event location barrel 3 to barrel 3. And then we need to turn all of their transparencies off. Transparent off and no image. Because they're still technically barrels, so we actually have to change them back to not having an image. On top of making sure that they're not just internally transparent again. So that's barrel 1, 2, and 3. Okay, barrels should now successfully reset, and we should have a valid order for value 2. Okay. Let's try the button again. The button is now properly resettable. Here's value 2. Absolutely perfect. It works. Okay, now let's add value 3. Okay. So on a Pepsi switch value of 3, barrel 1 will still do the same thing. Barrel 2 will go center. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. And then barrel 3 will take the same path as barrel 1. It just needs 2 more down commands. Perfect. Okay. All right. Value 4. Let's just have all 3 of them go center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, okay. Just like this with an extra down command. No, an extra 2 down commands. So on value 4, they all go center. Okay. And then on value 5, they'll just go in the opposite order of value 1. So we will take this order, and we will move it up here, and this will be barrel 1, which will go up. And then barrel 2... I guess still does exactly the same thing. And then barrel 3 will get 2 extra down commands and go there. Okay. We should now have repeatable, valid pathing for barrels on all of the different switch values. So, switch value 1. Very nice. Switch value 2. Okay, something didn't quite go right with the reset. One of these was not right. Barrel 1 goes to the right spot. Barrel 2 goes to the right spot. Barrel 3 goes to the right spot. That's 4, and this is supposed to be for switch value 5. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. That might fix it. Switch value 1. Switch value 2. Switch value 3. Okay, something messes up on switch... I know what messes up on switch value 3. I don't have the wait for completions in the right spot. Okay. There we go. Okay. Let's test it again. All 5 switch values. Switch value 1. Good. Switch value 2. Good. Yeah, screw it. Switch value 5. Good. Switch value 4. And finally, switch value 3. That is actually perfect. That is actually perfect. The entire system works. The one thing I want to add, just for my own sense of aesthetics, is to add a slight delay before each barrel rolls. I think it just visually looks better. And it's easier for the eye to follow the movement, I think. This shouldn't interfere with anything, since the movement is going to be happening before there's any wait commands. Oh, that is so much better. That looks so much better. Yes. Oh, that looks so much better. We have now finished the next thing. We have built the switch puzzle and we have tested the switch puzzle. So obviously next stream is going to include building the hidden room, as well as working on the swamp water infusion interior, but also design the production shut-off event at switch value 0. Design the production shut-off barrier. That's important. And now I need like a specific clue about how to solve this puzzle. So I think the most weird way to do that is to just have like a dead Pepsi drone over here. Okay. This Pepsi drone is dead. It looks like he has been here a while. He is holding onto a note. The note reads, "This Pepsi drone is dead. He is covered in wounds that were definitely caused by an evil magical cat." He is holding a note. The note reads, he's holding on to a note. Like that. To a note. The note says, they got me. The note says, "They got me." No, the note says, notice from maintenance. Notice from maintenance, do not run the production line with all of the control switches turned off. It will clog and damage the... It will clog and damage the line. Or it will clog the system and shut down production. There we go. Note for maintenance. Do not run the production line with all of the control switches turned off. It will clog the system and shut down production. So instead of like a note that he wrote, it will say he is holding an office memo. Perfect. Okay. So now we have a specific way that you can be told exactly what the solution and the goal is. And now we will add this switch is currently off. We will add a notice so that it is very clear when switches are off and on. That way there will be no ambiguity. No, that adding an extra line of dialogue between every single switch manipulation. No, that's going to be annoying as hell. We'll just modify the note. With all the switches lowered, it will clog the system and shut down production. Okay. This will be... this switch is labeled reset. Do you want to push it? And then we offer the basic choice, yes, no. So that way we make it clear that this is the switch that does this. We're going to copy literally all of these events, and this is going to say the button is labeled run intake. Do you want to press it? Along with yes, no choices, and if yes, that whole giant sequence. Okay. So this will be our last test, assuming it all works, which it should. None of this is particularly complicated, but after this, this will probably be the end of the stream. So you walk in here. This Pepsi drone is dead. He is covered in wounds that were definitely caused by an evil magical cat. He is holding an office memo. The note says, notice from maintenance, do not run the production line with all of the control switches lowered. It will clog the system and shut down production. And when you walk in here, this is how the system looks. Switch is labeled reset. You can manipulate the switches. Wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Button is labeled Run Intake. Do you want to press it? Okay. So instead of note, the memo, do not run the intake with all of the control switches lowered. It will clog the system and shut down production. Thank you for your cooperation. Because it's an office memo and it needs to be polite. That's it. We are done. I mean, aside from like actually designing the actual solution section, we are done. We have the Switch puzzle finished. And I think that's where we're going to end it for today. Thank you all so much for being here today. Me Switch, you were a lifesaver today. Thank you so much for your help there. I really appreciate that you were able to recognize the problem I was having with the switches. Yeah, I think that's going to be it. So you can be here again next Sunday for more of this. We've got some pretty basic stuff to build next time. The swamp water infusion area is not going to be as difficult to design, considering that we already have a specific layout for that room planned, and it's really just going to be like a navigation puzzle. It's going to be pretty basic. Nothing we really need to worry about. Next stream, we also need to start brainstorming the root beer gods fight, since we're very close to that, like the big fight at the end of the act. The first act ended with the red dragon. The second act ended with the false hydra. I absolutely do not want to design something as complicated as the false hydra again, but this should be a fight that involves several mechanics regardless. Yeah, I think that is good. We didn't need to make any adjustments to our spreadsheet today, although we do want to mark the claw that it has been integrated, so we no longer have the asterisk on it. No other asterisks are set. We do have a few slots left for good treasures that we can add. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, next stream, Sunday morning, like usual. Saturday morning, I'm streaming Ogre Battle 64. That's a lot of fun. New crafting recipes we will get into with the next act of the game. Every time we add an ingredient, it adds more new recipes than the last time we added an ingredient. So we'll probably add like a new super bottle cap or something. Yeah, so current daily series, will the ice pick be a recipe? I will worry about that later. My brain is fried, honestly. The current daily series on the channel, it's kind of jumping back and forth. I've been playing Mother 3. I've been doing more World of Warcraft with party bots. I'm going to do an episode of Dawn of War Dark Crusade. Nice, Warhammer 40k RTS. Yeah, I think that's all the things I have to say. So, again, thank you all so much. I will see you all in the next one, and it is time to make the sound to summon the end of the stream. Wow, 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 wow.